Steroid podcast coming away. This is number 366, DNP, the compound we're going to talk about in this compound episode. Stevesmi here and the Rickster in the house. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there?
Good, good. All right, guys. So we're going to go over DNP. DNP is a 2,4-dinitrophenol. It's a chemical product historically used as an antiseptic, herbicide, and explosive. Bodybuilders starting getting a hold of DNP back in the day. We think probably late 80s, early 90s. Maybe some of the started getting more widespread toward the mid 90s. Celebrities maybe started using it along with stuff like clenbuterol as a fat loss bodybuilding compound. And we know that some pro bodybuilders messed around with it, especially in the 90s, for its rapid fat loss benefits, but it is an extremely dangerous compound. We're going to talk about why that is. We're going to talk about some of the side effects that you're going to get on it. I've run it a couple times. I talked about it on the last podcast. I was, offered an opportunity to write some articles, do some videos on DNP. I had not used it. I told the person, hey, I don't write stuff unless I've actually done these things. So I told them, hold off. I'll do them down the line. So I ran DNP a couple times. Then I decided to write those articles about DNP once I gain experience with it. I think that's very important to do when it comes to stuff like this. But, we're going to go over this. So the history behind DNP, I'm going to give you a little lay down on it. And Rick's kind of going to get into it because Rick was involved back on the old forum when someone had actually passed away from it. So he's going to kind of talk about that. But, dating back to the 1930s, DNP was around and the FDA pulled it off the market once they realized how dangerous this stuff.
I thought the history was my thing.
Yeah, I was just getting the lay down and I'm going to bring you in. I just wanted to kind of.
Yeah, like you're already dropping the dates and everything. I prepared the history for this thing and you're just gonna take it away from me. You have that little to say about it that you're going to do history today on the
No, I have a lot to say about it, but I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to bring you in, Rick, to do the history because you're the history guy. I just wanted to lead into it, but you're the history guy. I'm not going to steal your history. You talk about the history. How about that? But you have to mention that story about the Soviets who used it during World War II because I like that story. That's
okay. I'll let you do the Soviet story now. I'll talk about.
Okay, so. Yeah, so the rumor was during World War II when the Soviets were battling, the Germans in that snow, freezing temperatures, they actually took DNP and it kept them warm even in those cold conditions. And when I ran DNP, I can confirm that it did keep me hot. So DNP, not a good idea to use it if you live in a hot climate. Very, very brutal. So yes, it does definitely heat up your body. We'll talk about the science behind that in a little bit. But Rick, tell us about the other history. I'm curious about it.
So DNP has been around for a long, long time. Over 100 years ago, we just figured out that people that were handling dynamite or messing or just handling DNP tended to lose weight pretty quickly. Also, some people died from it early on. There were 36 munition factory workers in France and 27 in the US that lost their lives due to DNP poisoning. This is around World War I. So munition factories workers were losing their lives just coming in contact with it. Then around 1933, it was released. It was released as a diet pill. It's funny enough that people were concerned about losing fat and getting skinny with diet pills as early as the 1933. The DNP, it was only on the market as a diet aid from about 1933 to 1938. And then it was a cutting and tainter at Stanford University that made the first report on how the compound substantially increased metabolic rate. And basically, it was pulled off the market around 1938 because the FDA realized that the stuff was dangerous. In 1952, it was pulled off the market in the UK and added to the poisonous substance list. So really early on, Really early on, people, we've tried it for weight loss, and then it was taken off the market because it was just hurting people. Uh, a lot of the side effects reported were people overheating, some people dying from it, some people having really bad results. The annual report of the American Association of Poison Control Centers identified 18 DMP poisoning fatalities between 2013 and 2018 in the US. The Swedish Poison Information Center has reported 3 fatal cases between 2012 and 2013. And forensic analysis of DMP is not routinely performed, so the true number of deaths from DMP might even be higher. And DMP may not be detected post-mortem on blood samples. So that's also another reason a lot of DMP deaths might be slipping by. In 2003, someone selling DMP was sentenced to 5 years in prison for mail fraud, with the FDA's OCI investigation having gathered evidence that the vendor was encapsulating DMP. The vendor's encapsulation of DMP was neither accurate nor was it sanitary. Some dude doing it at home basically got sentenced. Um, One of his customers died, and another one was in a coma for 10 days. And that's what prompted the investigation. In 2018, a seller in the United Kingdom was convicted of manslaughter for selling DMP as a quote unquote fat burner for human consumption. The guy took it to retrial in 2020, so this year, to the English Court of Appeals, and he was once again convicted of gross negligence manslaughter. In 2019, a company selling DMP in the UK was found guilty of quote unquote placing unsafe food products in the market. And they were fined €100,000. The director of the company was given a suspended prison sentence. Another seller in California was sentenced to 3 years in prison for selling DMP as diet pills in 2020. That happened this year. And in 2020, this year, a man from North Carolina was sentenced to the maximum sentence of 7 years in prison after 3 of his customers died from DMP poisoning. So you're looking at a compound that sent a lot of people to the cemetery, a lot of people to the hospital, and a lot of people to jail. It's really a very hard, strong compound. And that's just some of the history of it. It's been around for over 100 years. It was used as a dietary supplement only for about 8 years, and then it was taken off the market. So why does it make it a resurgence? I think it'll be it'll be a good subject for Steve and I to approach. So that's pretty much on the history of it from the way back until now. So you hit it, Steve.
What was the history when you first back on the old EF board? Were guys using it a lot?
So
Back in the 90s, maybe late 90s?
well, I was just getting started in the 90s. I was really on the boards around 1999 through 2000, 2001. And then I left for a while, took a break off, and then I came back in at the end of 2004. Just went to a different job, different things. And basically, by the time I came back in 2004, DMP Guru, I believe was the guy's name, or it was Asian DMP or Asian bodybuilder, something like that. And he had sold some DMP around, and one of the EF members was a kid who died from taking it. And basically, they tracked the guy down, tracked down the seller, and put him in jail. It was a big to do. By the time 2004, end of 2004 rolled around, and I came back around to EF, to early 2005. My memory it's not that far back now. This was already done and over with, and DMP was already a banned word on the forums. DMP was no longer, you couldn't talk about it on the forums anymore. It just wasn't allowed. It wasn't kosher anymore. It wasn't an allowed conversation because it was putting people health, because he was killing people straight up. So the administrator of Elite Fitness at the time decided that, hey, we already are talking about some pretty strong, powerful compounds that could have long-term side effects. How about we stay away from anything that could cause immediate death the way DNP does. So I wasn't there for the whole case, for the, for the cops coming over to the Elite Fitness offices to talk to the guy in charge, to the admin. That I wasn't there for. I was kind of back around for the aftermath. And I was back around for the aftermath. And basically that's, it wasn't until about 2005 and early 2005 that I was working in the Elite Fitness offices. Before then, I was just a forum guy, and I stepped away from the forums for a few years. So really, I wasn't there. I was neither on the forums nor at the office when the whole DNP thing went on. I heard about it afterwards. And, even then, in 2005, there were still some guys still underground in DNP, still thinking and saying that the only reason this kid passed away is because he misused it. He didn't do it right. But somehow DNP had some merit, and guys could still use it. And I'm sure I got sent some DNP samples or some at some point, but I just never messed with it, never used it. I don't know. I mean, we'll get more into the podcast of why I think nobody should use DNP, and why I think it's just maybe a sign of just you not being mentally healthy to have to resort to using DNP, really. But something to talk about. And yeah, no, I mean, I don't really know the specifics of the case, to be honest with you.
Well, let's educate people on DNP, what it is. So for fat loss specifically, the way DNP works is it raises your body temperature and metabolic rate rapidly to really high levels. It induces proton leakage from the mitochondria, and that causes your body to burn more fuel to yield the same amount of ATP, which is the primary carrier of energy within your cells. So that makes your body use more energy to do anything. So literally walk into your mailbox, it's going to cause you to, burn a crap load of fat. Now, if you see my posts on the forums and all this stuff, I always talk about calories in, calories out is a real thing, but it's misleading. And the reason is your calories out changes all the time based on what you eat, based on what you do, based on your hormones, based on all kinds of things. So it's impossible to count calories and have success long term for that reason. Well, with DNP, when you're taking DNP, your calories out is elevated to a sky high levels. So, it's hard to basically out eat how many calories you're going to be burning on this stuff. If you do any sort of exercise, like literally walking down the street, you're going to be burning a ton of calories than you would normally. So that's how it burns fat. So it makes the food that you're eating have to be used for the energy. It doesn't give your body a chance to store that food as energy to be used at a later date. So that's why it's such a good fat burner, but it's not really a good fat burner. And I'm going to explain why. Because when you're taking it, you actually retain water on it. The body is smart. The body's not stupid. You can't outsmart your body. So when you're taking this stuff, people who take it will actually notice their body weight does not go down on it. They actually start retaining a lot of water on it. And then when they stop taking it, that water comes out. And then for the next couple of days, they'll lean out a lot. But then they're just going to gain everything back because you have a rebound effect. So it's not an effective fat burner in the intermediate term. It'll only burn the fat initially when you're taking it. But then when you come off of it, you're just going to gain everything back because your metabolic rate is going to slow back down rapidly. So you'll get like a rebound effect. So it really is a really crappy fat burner, and it's not a permanent fat burner. So it's, it doesn't really make sense to use it. So I'll give you an example. Like some studies done on animals show a 60% metabolic rate increase. And, in humans, if you're exercising on it, it's going to be even higher. So, there's people that lose so much weight on it, and then they just gain it all back because your metabolic rate does not stay elevated when you come off of it. Your metabolic rate actually crashes. So it really is a really poor fat burner besides the side effects. And, let's talk about the side effects. We're talking Sweating is insane. If you eat something on it, carb heavy foods, you should start sweating instantly. You're gonna smell nasty. You're gonna have yellow bodily fluids. Dehydration is very, very severe. You can kill yourself just on the dehydration alone, not even from the compound. Electrolyte depletion. Your electrolytes are going to be way off when you're taking this stuff. Big problem. Your thyroids, again, your body's smart. Your thyroids, Rick, are going to slow down when you're on it. Then when you come off, you're going to have a slow thyroid. So what happens when you have a slow thyroid? Your metabolic rate slows down. So now the calories out is going to be very, very low. So really in the end, if you're a fat person, you take DNP for a week or two, and then you come off of it a week or two after that, you're probably going to gain everything and some. So it's really, really a poor fat burning. You don't hear people taking DNP who have good things to say about it for that reason. You don't hear people with success stories from taking DNP because the body is smart, guys. You're going to retain water on it. You're going to destroy your thyroid on it. So it does the opposite effects. You're going to have a hard time breathing, shortness of breath. There's people with permanent vision problems from taking DNP. You guys can look this up on forums. They complain. They say their vision changed. Appetite, your appetite is going to change, sometimes permanently. Blood sugar levels are going to get thrown off. And then the last one is death, of course. Death is a real possibility with DNP.
Cataracts was one of the side effects that was cited as one of the reasons it was taken off the market and considered dangerous. A lot of folks can get cataracts from using DNP.
So you guys can look this up. I'm just going to give you 3 deaths that made the news from DNP. One of them, she was a very beautiful med student. She was 23 years old. She had suffered. She was not overweight or anything, but she had suffered from some issues, some eating disorders, anorexia, and then bulimia. So she was one of those people. She looks beautiful and everything, but she thinks she's fat. So when you're in that situation, you know, you're like, oh my God, I got to take something. I got to lose weight. I'll lose weight. So she took it, and she ended up dying. And another girl, she was a couple years older. She died in 2007 from taking DNP as well. And she came from the same country in the UK. Another one was a guy, 21 years old. He was a little overweight. He looked like a little nerd, you know, he's a little bit of a nerdy side. Probably one of these guys, he thought, you know, hey, I could just take some DNP, lose some fat, maybe it'd score me some more chicks. But he took 20 pills. This was in 2018. And then he called for help, and his words were, his body was burning. That's what he told them. He felt like his body was burning. So he took 20 pills of this stuff. So let's say he took 200 milligrams times 20. I mean, that's a lot of DNP. And the problem with it, as we're going to, this is very important to mention, is the half-life is very, very long in this stuff. So 36-hour half-life, meaning half of it is going to be in your system after 36 hours. And then half of that is going to be in your system after 36 hours. So this stuff can take 2, 3, 4 days to get out of your system. So if you have 20 pills, it's going to take him 3, 4 days for that shit to be out of his system. So his body temperature went up so much that he literally cooked himself from the inside. So you go to the hospital, they're having to ice you down. They're freaking out. They're like, what is this? What'd you do? What is this stuff? You put this stuff in your body. We can't get your body temperature down. It's impossible because this stuff is in your system so long. So it's just a brutal death. It's like cooking. It's like lighting a match inside your body and cooking yourself, Rick. It's very, very bad. And then there's another one. This was a 21-year-old. And this 21-year-old decided to take it, and they bought it. She had no idea about how dangerous this stuff was. She just read about it online, and she ordered it from this guy's website. And she ended up, it says here, she ended up really screwing herself up, and the guy then ended up getting arrested. This is a different guy. This was over in London. And this guy had been selling it. Basically, it cost them, it says here, $450 to buy a drum of this stuff. $450. And he made over $250,000 from reselling it. And that's insane. So, and he ended up, one of his customers ended up being this girl who ended up killing herself 21 years old. So yeah, this is really, really bad, and no amount of jail time can make up for these young people all dying from this stuff. It's just bad news, guys. Bad news.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I don't even find it being something that's that good for fat loss. I mean, it makes you hungry as hell. It doesn't help curb appetite at all. It just makes you hungry and hot and sweaty. You know, that's the real problem with it, is that it makes you really hungry, hot, and sweaty. And that's a real issue with it that, you know, you have to consider when you mess with it. So definitely, guys, it's just go back to our last podcast where we discussed DNP lightly. Probably fasting is the best way to go if you're trying to lose body fat and you're really in a hurry. Because that's part of the problem that I see with DNP use is this is just for people that are just in an incredible hurry. You know, they're in a real hurry, and so they use DNP. You can only use it for about 10, 15 days, right? Have you heard of anybody taking it longer than that, Steve? 10 to 15 days?
I've not heard any sane person who took it longer than that, because when I took it, I couldn't stand it after a few days. I couldn't stand the stuff.
Makes you feel tired, makes you feel groggy.
Yeah.
You're basically poisoning yourself, and it makes you hungry as hell. You compare that to just saying doing a water fast for 10 days. You're going to feel euphoric some of those days. You will be a little bit tired, but not DNP tired. You'll be a little bit more groggy, a little bit less energetic than usual, especially after the first 3-4 days on a water fast. But you're not going to be DNP tired. And also, when it comes to fasting, after about day 4, day 5, that hunger kind of starts to go away. You know, you start to not feel that overwhelming hunger anymore. And after you break your fast, you've actually killed that hunger. You won't be as hungry anymore, unless obviously you let your eating habits go to shit. When it comes to DNP, you're fucking hungry all day. Did you experience that too, Steve? The hunger, just you're hungry every time the whole time you were on it?
It wasn't that. It was the dehydration that really was tough. The dehydration, the yellow stuff, like yellow spit, yellow urine, yellow everything. Like the stuff would get on my fingers. It was yellow stuff on my finger. I didn't really have an issue with the hunger. I felt like crap on it. And when I feel like crap, I don't get hungry. So the other people, you know, they might have a different reaction. But it wasn't that bad with the hunger. I could tell you when I would eat something, I just break out in a sweat like instantly. So, you know, and I didn't run that much of it. We see guys run 200, 300 milligrams. I've seen guys run even more, up to 600 milligrams a day. The problem with that is if the place you get it from dosed it incorrectly, if they dosed it, you're buying stuff from these guys, random people online. It's not a pharmacy you're buying it from. What happens if you think you're taking 200 milligrams, you're really taking 2,000 milligrams? Then what? Guess what? You're dead. You're dead. 2,000 milligrams is going to kill you. You'll cook yourself from the inside, and there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you figure it out, what happens if you take the wrong amount in the first place, and you figure it out after? Oh my, oh shit, I took the wrong amount. You're dead. There ain't nothing you can do. You go to the hospital, you tell them I took DNP. They're gonna be like, we don't know what DNP is. Then they'll look it up and they'll be like, oh, you took an explosive? They're like, okay. They're probably gonna be like, you know, why should we waste our time with this person when you got other people over here dying from other stuff to no fault of their own? This idiot took an explosive, you know? You know what I'm saying? So you're dead. I mean, you're dead. Your body temperature is gonna go up. You're not gonna be able to bring it back down. So
this stuff is not made anywhere in any good, solid compounding labs or anywhere reliable. This stuff is always everywhere made in just bathtubs. And there isn't a lot of room for error with DNP, but there is a lot of errors that go on in bathtub brewing. So you're basically taking something that someone bathtub brewed for you, where they could have made a mistake. The guy could be on drugs for all you know when he's mixing the stuff for you. and the capsules might have the wrong amount in them. And then you're thinking you're taking a certain amount, but you're not. Or you think your tolerance is a certain amount, but then when you get towards the bottom of your bottle or bag of DMP, those capsules are extra loaded. And so you take more, and you could die. You could die or spend a few days in the hospital. Also, DMP stays in your body for a long time. And so it's not like you can just decide, oh shit, I took too much. I'm going to write this out and then I'll be fine. Like you would with maybe another stimulant or some other things. No, man, you're in for a long ride. Also, if you have children or animals, you don't want to leave this stuff around. I mean, look, if your kid gets a hold of your God forbid, of your Anavar, your Winstrol or something like that, starts chewing on it, the chances of them being seriously hurt of chewing on some Anavar or Winstrol that you left around, which you shouldn't, it's incredibly responsible to do that, or your dog getting into your pill bile. I mean, the chances of them being seriously hurt from one episode, one time getting into your steroids, is pretty small. Now, the chances of your child or your animal dying from getting a hold of your tablets, your kid could pop the tablets open in its hands. It could go through his pores. There's just so much room for error and so much room for this stuff to be harmful. It's one of the reasons it was used in war. It's because it can get through your pores. Steve, was it used as a weapon, or am I getting my information wrong? I can't recall where, but I think I heard from my research it was used as a weapon as well. No.
I don't know about that one, man. I'll have to look that one up.
But it does get through your pores, right? Pretty easily. DMP does.
Back when they used to have it around in factories and stuff, the people would not even be ingesting it, and they'd still get the effects from it, just from being around it, just from touching it, just from being close to it. It's just like when people who keep Clorox or pesticides in their house, you still are exposed to it just by being close to it. Just like Chernobyl. Chernobyl, if you just walk into the basement in Chernobyl, you will get radiation poisoning and you will be dead within a few days. Your teeth will fall out and you'll get cancer and all that stuff just from being close. So you don't have to touch it or ingest it from that radiation poisoning. So that's how potent this stuff is. You just got to be close to it. That's it. And that's what these guys, this is what these guys would have. They would notice they were having these weird side effects, and they were losing weight and all this stuff just from working around this stuff. So that's kind of why they got the idea to start taking it for fat loss, and they started giving it to housewives and all that stuff back then. Yeah, so yeah, it's an interesting compound, guys. But guys, at the end of the day, why take this stuff? Why? It's not going to give you great fat loss benefits in the short term, and in the long term, it will give you none. It's not going to keep you lean. It's not. You're just going to gain it all back because it's destroying your thyroid. Like I told you earlier, it's destroying your thyroid. It's destroying your metabolism. Your bodies are too smart. Your body is smart. It's going to know to shut off your thyroid when you're on this stuff. It's just like taking testosterone. Your pituitary glands get shut down. Well, this stuff will shut down your thyroid the same way. Not smart.
And when it comes down to it, guys, you're not developing good habits that can help you change your lifestyle. If you're talking about fat loss, if you're talking about getting leaner, fasting, good dieting, I mean, just good diet where you stay up extra time on a Sunday night to prepare your meals for the week, where you carry and take your food with you everywhere. Just that good diet and building those habits and learning how to eat well and how to prepare good foods and killing the hunger through intermittent fasting, eating in a small 4-hour window. You're developing long-term sustainable habits on top of gaining the short-term fat loss and effects. And not only that, like I said earlier, after about 3-4 days, on a wet fast, the hunger is not as bad as it is in the first day. I mean, especially if you've killed the hunger already, where you've done time restricted feeding, where you're eating in a small 4 hour window, by the time you start doing your water fast, you're not suffering hunger. On DNP, you're going to be hungry all day, every day, for as long as you're on this stuff. I mean, did you eat? I've never used DNP. I guess I knew better than to do that. And I've never had a problem with just maintaining a good solid diet when I know that's my goal. So I haven't had an issue with that. So I never resorted to it. Now, Steve, did you eat while you were on DNP during your cycle? What did you eat? What did you have when you took DNP?
No, I just ate my regular diet to a T. Yeah, just for that.
So
I wasn't that much hungry, but that is one of the side effects: increased hunger. I wasn't that much more hungry, man. It was more the dehydration. I could not drink enough to hydrate myself.
and that's another thing. You're going to take a drug that makes you feel like shit, makes you feel bad, that's poisoning you, and you're going to still eat food during those days. Makes no sense to me. How about you just don't eat the food? You won't be poisoning yourself and you won't be feeling as bad. And then you can water fast. And when you have enough water on a water fast, the water is enough. You're not uncomfortable. You're not sweaty all day. You might be a little bit less energetic if you run up a flight of steps when you're on a third, fourth day of a water fast. You might feel more tired, a little bit winded than you normally would, but you're not going to feel like shit. You're not going to poison yourself, guys. I don't fucking get it. I guess, look, and again, it goes back to the mental aspect of it that I wanted to talk about. I guess if you fuck up on your diet big time and you don't do the right things with your diet and you have a show coming up or a photo shoot or something interesting like that you need to be really looking well for, and then you go and you use DNP to get you up to that show, to that photo shoot, I can understand the urgency in poisoning yourself to get thinner. But again, it goes back to just having some core lifestyle issues that you have to deal with. Why do you sign up for a show and then not have the proper diet? Why are you making time commitments to yourself, slipping on your diet, and then now you're going to have to poison yourself to get there? That there's some really core lifestyle issues that need to be addressed at that point, that need to be looked into at that point, if that's the case you're on. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, and a lot of these bodybuilders, Rick, they overeat, they take a lot of insulin. So, they want to take the DNP to offset that. They obviously take the HGH as well to offset that. So, they'll run the DNP, but those guys they're at such a high level. They're already poisoning themselves as it is, taking all this stuff. But you as a normal Joe, you don't have to do that. You don't have to torture yourself. And actually, some of the people that I've been coaching that are competing recently, and I'm getting them introduced to fasting for the first time. I'm getting them fasting into their shows rather than taking the clenbuterol, the DNP, the thyroid drugs, the diuretics. I'm getting them to fast instead, and they're reporting back that they feel so much better. They're not miserable, crashing their carbs, crashing their calories. It's just not miserable to fast. And really, after the second day, Rick, it's not after the fourth day. It's the second day where you just start losing your hunger. The second or third day at the latest, you start losing your hunger. Once you're in ketosis, you're not going to be hungry anymore. You're not even going to want to see food once you hit that deep ketosis. So you're not miserable. The first couple of days is kind of hard, but after that, it's smooth sailing with fasting, and the results are permanent. You're not fucking your thyroid. You're not fucking your metabolic rate. Your metabolism when you fast stays the same or actually increases, and your thyroid when you fast stays the same or actually increases. That's the beauty part of fasting versus crashing carbs and crashing calories and doing these crash diets that don't work long term. Because when you do that, your calories out goes down. So if you're getting 2,000 calories in and you're burning 2,000 calories out and you're at maintenance, okay, and you crash your carbs, you crash your calories, guess what? Now you're only bringing in 1,250 calories. You really think that your calories out stays at 2,000? No, your calories out also drops to match that 1250 that you're bringing in. That's how our bodies work. It's called survival. But when you fast, you drop your calories to zero and you're not bringing anything in. Your body goes into flight or fight. So your calories out actually stays elevated. And when you come off your fast, your calories out stays elevated versus when you crash your calories or crash your carbs or take DNP or take, some of these other harsh drugs, that crashes your calories out when you come off, and your thyroid is screwed. When you fast, you're actually boosting your thyroid, you're boosting your organ health across the board. So it's a healthy option. You're getting autophagy, you're recycling cells in your body. So just fast. If you want to be miserable for 10 days and you want to take DNP, I'm urging you, don't take the DNP, please. Get rid of it. Get rid of that stuff. Throw it out and fast. Do a water fast instead. You won't be miserable, and it's going to be healthy for your body. It's going to be healthy. You'll come out of that fast in the best shape of your life when you come out of that fast versus DNP.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the only shows that we've done about a compound where we're just going to tell you guys a bunch of reasons why you shouldn't take it and why you shouldn't mess with it. I think if you're messing with DNP, respect to any of you guys out there, something fucking wrong with you. Something wrong with you, seriously. Who needs to lose weight that fast to poison themselves? I mean, that fast, you really need it? Who gets on a schedule to look your best by a certain date? Then you fuck up, you fuck around on your diet. No discipline, no self-control, no preparation, no planning. Now we're just going to take some DNP, risk our lives just to see just to get there. I mean, there's something seriously wrong with you if you have to resort to DNP use. And just one more little thing to just give this some thought when you're thinking about why would you use this shit. So you're going to take a fat loss drug for a couple weeks, but you're still going to eat. And this is just not like a normal fat burner that's going to help you curb appetite while you maintain a decent diet and give you some good energy. See, when you take like a regular over-the-counter fat burner, the stuff that most you can buy from most supplement companies, a good one will usually curb your appetite and give you some additional energy so that you don't feel like shit while you're on a caloric deficit. And then you could eat the right things, the things you really need to be eating. And, by the time you get done with that 30-day bottle of an over-the-counter supplement, you should have developed some decent habits. You should be getting somewhere. DNP, on the other hand, it's not going to give you energy on your caloric deficit. You're going to feel like shit, worn down, tired, lethargic. It's not going to curb appetite. You're going to be, Steve said, hungry like normal or hungrier. A lot of folks I've spoken to, hungrier on DNP. It's not conducive to you building good habits, and you're still going to eat like normal. I mean, how about you do away with all that shit again? Go back and just don't fucking eat. Water fast. You'll feel better than you do on the DNP. You won't be as hungry as you will be on the DNP. You won't be as sweaty. Won't be as lethargic, tell you that. Especially if you take some black coffee, green tea, no sugars, no creams, nothing, just straight black during your fast. You'll get a nice energy boost. You can take a regular fat burner even during your fast with water. It'll curb appetite at least the first few days that you need it. It'll give you additional energy so you can focus, get your work done. And you'll feel good. And you're not taking in the calories. You see, you're taking this drug that burns more calories, but then you're going to eat all the same during those days. Makes no sense. Don't take the poison. Don't take the DNP to poison your body. Don't do that. And then just don't take in the calories. You see? So just wanted to put this out there for you guys on that whole perspective. Every time the ball gets kicked back to me in this show, Steve, I'm just trying to convince guys over the virtues of just fasting, time restricted feeding over taking a fucking poison like DNP to lose body fat, man. I mean, geez.
Yeah. I just feel like we'll have some haters come back and say, oh, you guys never used it. You guys don't know what you're talking about. I've used it twice. So you can't come at me. And Rick knows people who've actually died from it. He was part of the forum back in the day where the admin was involved. They came to the offices and stuff. So he's seen firsthand what this stuff can do more than you guys out there who want to hate and say, oh, you know, and to be honest with you, over the years, the guys who are pushing DNP on the forums, these are the guys selling it. These are the guys selling it, trying to convince others it's okay. And then what they'll do, they'll sell the shit out of it, make all their money, because it costs nothing to acquire this stuff. And they make a fortune selling it. And then they disappear after a couple of years. They just disappear off the face of the earth because they know that some of their customers that took it are going to have problems with their eyesight. They're going to have problems with their thyroid. They're going to have problems with other problems, and they're going to possibly die. And they want to be off the grid when that happens because they are liable and they should be held liable for that shit. That's all I'll say on that.
There was a guy on the forums. I can't remember his screen name right now, but the word on the bodybuilding forums was that this guy was over on obesity forums for people who are just really obese and they have a hard time losing weight, trying to educate guys on DNP use and providing sources for them. It's unfortunate, but DNP has been a tool of swindlers, people that want to make a fast buck and they bank on people's desperations, bank on it as a fast way to lose weight, as a way to kind of lose weight fast and just eat whatever you want anyway, because you eat normal on it. And you know, to somebody who's already obese because they have no discipline, no self-control, because they maybe use food as a crutch for their larger emotional issues that they have going on. For someone like that to be told, hey, take these pills, don't really need a change in your diet. You'll just be a little bit warm. Take some electrolytes and some water. It's probably an easy sell.
So, you know the difference between fasting and taking. I'll give you the simple. When you're on DNP, you get hot as hell. You get hot as hell. When you fasting, you get cold as hell. Isn't that interesting? Doesn't that prove how beneficial fasting is? That you're getting cold on it. Your thyroid, doesn't shut down like it does on DNP because your body does not react the way it would on DNP because your body temperature is going up, right? And your metabolic rate is going up. So of course your body's hot. So what's your body going to do? It's going to do what it has to do. It's going to retain water and it's going to shut down the thyroid. But when you fast, it's the opposite. Your body goes into flight or fight mode. You get cold and your thyroid goes nuts when you're on it because now your body's saying, you know what? You need to go hunt for food. You need to go find food. That's a flight or fight mode when you fast. So that's the difference between fasting and DNP. And that shows you the difference health-wise between taking something like DNP and actually fasting. That's the difference.
Yeah, one thing I want to toss in there, we have a lot of guys that are new to fasting that listen to the show. So when I say, hey, you're going to be a little tired on fasting, it'll be this, that's usually for newbies. Any of you guys out there that have been fasting for a while, have done long fasts, you know that energetic, euphoric feeling you get on fasting after you're 4, 5, 6, 7 days in. That's that part of your body, of your system, that evolution just kind of conditioned to give you that extra energy, give you that extra push you need so that you can go and kill the prey, so that you can go and find the food, So yeah, if you're an experienced faster and you're listening to me saying, hey, you feel run down, you get winded, run up a flight of stairs, you might go, Rick, what the fuck are you talking about? I feel energetic. I feel euphoric 4, 5, 6 days into my fast, Rick. Well, yeah, but remember, new guys who just have done, 3, 4, their fourth fast, the guy taking his first fast past 4 or 5 days. Remember that guy, and he's not going to feel euphoric and ready to go and ready to fight and kill the way you and I feel going into those days. And that's that part of evolution that allowed humans to survive something like a huge volcano eruption that chased away many animals, burnt down much vegetation, soiled a bunch of water supply, and just ash. And you might take you days to leave the area of the fallout and find suitable drinking water, and find prey. That or whatever, floods, whatever it might be, tsunamis, which happened many ages ago. Tsunami might have came around and everything soiled and fucked up, and maybe places you went to drink fresh water are now tainted with salt water, and you might need to walk with your tribe, with your family, with the survivors for days until you find suitable sustenance. And that evolutionary trigger to fasting is what makes you feel that good euphoric feeling, a few days in. So it's different, right? For guys that I know, the first few times that I went days, well, I shouldn't say that, see, because I used to go days on just a water diet. But I mean, I was wrestling, so I
I
just
think
had
you know what, there, Rick. I think it's a rapid transformation. It's a rapid transition from being insulin resistant to insulin sensitive when you fast. Really, if you start doing like time restricted eating daily, it'll take you 2 or 3 weeks, and then the flip will happen. The switch will be turned on, and then you won't want to go back. So it's pretty rapid. It's pretty rapid. I think really if you do a prolonged fast, like right off the bat, I don't think that's smart without any guidance. But if you do like a 24-hour fast, 48-hour fast, do a couple of those, and the switch will go. The switch will go pretty quick. So our bodies will adjust. And what Rick was saying, if you go and study Africa right now with the animals, Africa is a great example, because in Africa you have the rainy season. In Central Africa with the lions and stuff, the hyenas, you have the rainy season and non-rainy season. During the dry season, much of the ponds, they all dry up. The seasons change, and the animals have to adjust. They're not going to eat as much during the dry season, and they're not going to drink as much during the dry season. It's going to be much harder to survive. But then when the wet season comes, all the animals come back, the gazelles come back, the ponds fill it up, and they're able to start eating again. So, that's a perfect example that animals in nature are forced to adapt throughout the year. But we as humans, we're just too smart for our own good. We have supermarkets, we have restaurants, we can go get a lobster. If I feel like getting a lobster tomorrow, I can go eat a lobster at a restaurant, or I can go to a lobster at the supermarket. But our ancestors, if they wanted lobster, they had to march their ass to the ocean, build a lobster basket, or they have to go in the water and try to find a lobster. And they're going to expel all that energy to get a lobster, and they may not even succeed at getting a lobster. It may take them 20 tries to get a lobster, or it might take them 100 tries to get a lobster, but they ain't eating a lobster until they do. But we just got to, you can call up on your phone to Red Lobster right now, listen to this, and be like, hey, send me a lobster. Here's my address. Here's $50. Here's my credit card number. Bring me a lobster. And they bring you a lobster within an hour. So, I mean, we're just we're too smart for our own good as human beings. And we've gotten into this trap of this unnatural type of lifestyle. So it all ties into this. And it's the same thing as taking DNP. It's an unnatural lifestyle.
Yeah, guys, don't use DNP. There's no reason to do it. Have a good, healthy lifestyle. Don't be in a hurry to lose body fat. Nobody should be in that much of a hurry to lose weight that they would use DNP. No one out there. If you're a competitor getting on stage, prepping for a show, well, you should have gave yourself more time, and you should have been more strict way further out. Maybe this show is not the one you need to be going to. A lot of boxers have died from being asked to take a big fight at a lower weight class with short notice. This happens quite often. You can't push your body like this. It's just not right. It's one thing if you're a competitor, you've been doing this for a while, and you cut down slow over time, very strict cutting down slow over time. I mean, we see that. We know when your skin gets paper thin, just you feel like shit. You feel like shit before you have that pre-show meal to charge you back up. Just going in, before before the show, before you load up again. Feel like shit, but you've planned it across the right proper amount of time. You're doing something to plan this out. Anyone out there that thinks that they are in such a hurry that they would need to take something like DNP, I'll say it again. There's some core lifestyle issues to deal with. And the fact that you could die from using it and you're still going to fuck with it. And then you also have some mental issues that you need to be dealing with, because nobody should be in that much of a hurry to lose fat. And if you are just fat, chubby, and you want to get rid of it, and like all these messages that I get quite often, where you're just fed up, done with this. Well, where the hell was that motivation on your climb up when you saw the scale, or maybe you weren't even stepping on the scale, when you saw your tits hanging lower day after day, dude? Where the fuck was that motivation then? You weren't worried about it then, huh? As you got fat and climbed up, and your belly button became more of a cavern every day, and you were just pouring out of your pants like a muffin in the oven, pouring out of the pan day after day. But you weren't worried about it then, right? So now you want to poison yourself to lose body fat fast. What the I mean, really, bro? Nah, man. It took you a long time to get fat. Even with fasting, it's going to take you some patience to get down, some suffering for days and days and days, weeks and weeks and weeks, maybe a couple years if you're really that badly overweight, where it's impairing your mobility. And there are folks like that out there. I'm sure they don't listen to this podcast. That's not our crowd. But you can't do that to yourself. You can't ignore you're getting fat on the way up. And then once you really look like shit, now just be in this incredible hurry to get back down. You can't fucking do that. It doesn't work that way. All you're going to do is just ruin your health, and you're not building the lifestyle habits, the good core lifestyle habits that you need to maintain any sort of significant weight loss. So just throwing that out there for you guys.
All right, guys, I guess this sums it up. So Stevesmi and Rick, this has been another episode of Evolutionary Radio, DNP. Hope you guys learned a lot. Hope the education went a long way, guys. You don't need DNP to lose weight at all. It's not a good fat loss compound, okay? I hope we explained it and educated you. We'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys. Stay away from DNP.
Guys, this is the required legal disclaimer. We are only sharing our experience from years of steroid use. We are not doctors, and none of what we say should be regarded as medical advice. Always check with your doctor before taking any drugs or starting any training program.